Hi, I'm Sally Kohn. Some of you have heard of Glenn Beck. You might have even watched his show. The brilliant thing about it from his perspective is it's a one-way conversation. There's never anyone to challenge his perspective and argue. He says that communism and fascism are both extreme left-wing ideas. Well, the truth is, yes, communism is a pretty broad term, right? But the way he uses it, the way Beck uses it, he means state communism, a centralized state that administers the economy in a way that supposedly eliminates the gap between rich and poor. And state communism is generally a left-wing idea. But fascism, on the other hand, is a right-wing idea. I don't know where he gets off saying it, but counter to what Beck argues, Hitler and Mussolini were never left-wing heroes. They're conservative political heroes. The idea behind fascism is a few elites should aggressively rule the nation for their benefit, which may trickle down to the rest of us if we're lucky. So over here, what state communism means is that a few elites in government have all the power, whereas in fascism, it's a few private interests and corporate elites that rule the nation aggressively. In state communism, sameness is emphasized and individual liberty is restricted, right? The state is run supposedly for the benefit of everyone, but you don't get to have as much individual autonomy. In fascism, sameness, particularly racial sameness, is emphasized, and dissent is policed. Starting to look a little the same, right? The result is that in state communism you have unchecked government, but no private market, and in fascism you have an unchecked market, but no government to help the rest of the population. A good example of that right now would, of course, be the situation we've set up for British Petroleum. By lumping fascism with communism, Beck isn't just being sloppy. He's trying to distract us from his agenda. If most liberals in America aren't fascists, and frankly, most liberals aren't communists. Barack Obama certainly is, and I'm not. I don't want to return to the Soviet state. So what is it that liberals are really out there supporting? What is it that Glenn Beck is so afraid of? Well, here it is. Wait for it. Wait for it. Democratic capitalism! Oh, scary! Wait. Democratic capitalism? You mean entrepreneurship and business balanced by responsible government regulation and a safety net that helps us all when the market fails? You mean politics that expresses the will of the voters and not campaign coffers? You mean an economy and a political system that works for all of us and working Americans and not just the elites? Look, this is scary stuff. This is social justice.
That was some good trick.
Really?
America's great industrialists and capitalists were nothing compared to the man who is the focus of this episode. In 1929, shortly after being released from prison for taxpayer fraud and insider trading, Adolf Hitler is seen here talking with investors about making a leveraged buyout of the nation of Germany. In 1938, Adolf and his friend Joseph combined capital to create a leveraged buyout of Poland, of which the assets they shared. In 1940, with taxation at an all-time low, the government nearly disappears. The free market and unfettered capitalism are the rule of the land.
That was a good trick, too.
Oh, 2 clear.
Sorry, received.
6-9.
2343.
Gap road.
The 36 will be out with boy 6.
30.
7352 Southeast Division. Intoxicated.
Connect and wear a pack with 6-4.
759, copy, I'll put you on it.
Control 32 boy, can you put me out on the scene of the accident?
Really?
It is absolutely true that we can't depend on government alone to create jobs or economic growth. That is and must be the role of the private sector. But at this particular moment, with the private sector so weakened by this recession, the federal government is the only entity left with the resources to jolt our economy back into life. It is only government that can break the vicious cycle where lost jobs lead to people spending less money, which leads to even more layoffs. And breaking that cycle is exactly what the plan that's moving through Congress is designed to do.